What is going on, everybody? We're going to start this here in just a bit.
People get up every day and they do the same thing. They tell themselves they're going to change their life one day and they never do. I'm going to change mine.
All right, everybody, we're gonna start this off here. Okay, so let's go over, obviously, the successful week that we've had first, okay, with our challenge so far. A lot of people had joined us, okay, with the $250, okay, actually $500 to $5,000, but some people started with $250, some people started with $500. So let's just review the week here real quick, so people have an idea of how well it's been going so far. Okay, it's been going really, really well. Let's look at the results here. Right, if you can go on our Discord, you can actually just check out the results. Okay, people have been crushing it, right? Making money non-stop off our call outs. Okay, so shout out to the entire group here. This challenge has been absolutely incredible, right? People have been making 50% of their accounts, 20% of their accounts, 100% of their accounts. It's been non-stop here. Okay, non-stop completely. So what we're gonna do next now, okay, is we're going to be breaking down essentially what's happening this week, okay, because it's a new week, guys, and honestly, a lot of volume and a lot of volatility tends to kick up after the 12th here. So let's talk about what I'm looking at so far, what I could see potentially kind of go down, okay, in the markets here, and we're going to move forward from there. Just give me 1 second, guys. I am going to look at news, okay, and then I'm just going to go grab some water here, okay? Just give me 30 seconds, guys. I'm going to grab some water here. Okay. I already got it in got the water right here, right next to me, so let's take a look at what's going on with Trump. I know that he is disbanding, okay, or coming after the Fed. Most importantly, he's coming after the Fed primarily just for the sole fact that, okay, he wants to get rid of the Fed. The Fed right now has been, I wouldn't say irresponsible, but obviously the constant printing of money, and apparently, you know, Jerome Powell is getting, you know, criminally acquitted. So let's look at kind of a little bit about more in depth what's going on with that. I'm going to talk about it quickly here. Supports federal independence, criminal investigation. Okay, so Powell, I mean, Trump was the guy that put Powell into office, but Trump is just pissed off because Powell right now isn't cutting rates fast enough. Could be my only assumption into why right now he isn't, like, why he's not really a big fan of Powell right now at this current moment. You know what I'm saying? So to be honest, what I'm seeing and what I'm looking at from all this is there's going to be a new, you know, Fed head chair. You know, it's not going to be Powell. I'm looking at it to be potentially, who is the new guy here? The new head of the Fed is supposed to be, what's this guy's name here? Let's take a look at just this video here.
On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment, waiting for my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned in part a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats.
Yeah, so they're threatening the guy. They're basically threatening him and telling him, hey, we're going to kick you out if you don't cut rates. To be honest, Trump is playing a very dangerous game. You got to understand the Federal Reserve is not the U.S. government. The Federal Reserve is basically the banks of the world. And honestly, I don't want to get down to the conspiracy theories, but the 13 rule families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the ones that basically own the world, that's essentially the federal government. The federal government isn't the U.S. I don't think a lot of people understand that. When you're paying taxes, you're essentially paying the Rothschilds family that America is indebted to. That's who we're in debt to. A lot of times people ask us, who are we in debt to? It's those families there. So let's talk about this being potentially what would happen if, you know, the next Fed chair guy is chosen here. If there is a new Fed, obviously he will cut rates. Now, a big reason why Trump is the market is kind of scary here is because of Trump's supreme tariff. The idea of these tariffs and the Supreme Court going against his tariffs, everybody knows if this happens, we're absolutely screwed here. And when I mean screwed, I mean we're done. You know? So, I mean, even Trump is saying it we're screwed. Trump warns of a crisis if the Supreme Court rules against the tariffs. Warned of financial disaster for the United States if the nation High Court is preparing to issue an opinion as early as January 14th. So this is in the next 2 days. Something's going to happen in the next 2 days. Trump wrote, claiming many hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue so far has been collected from the new tariffs and trillions more in private investment. As a legal basis, declare the national emergency over a trade deficit of under 1977's international emergency economic powers. During oral arguments, the Federal Reserve collected already over $200 billion more in tariffs revenue. As a result, President tariffs on imports companies, the amount of payback the Supreme Court rules against them extends to the money that companies and other nations are spending to build factories, equipment in the United States to avoid paying higher tax. We are talking about trillions of dollars. It would be a complete mess and almost impossible for our country to pay. Anybody who says that it can be quickly and easily done without making a false, inaccurate, totally misunderstood answer is a very large, complex question. But if there were dollars that would be so large, it would take years to figure out what the number we're talking about. Private investment. He arrived at the trillions figure. No, I mean it's definitely trillions if you take into account everything going on here. So this right here could really screw up markets. I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen. But if the Supreme Court rule does, we're gonna 100% go into a recession, and it would destroy markets. So just be careful. Have stop losses set into place this week, because that right here, could be a black swan event. This could fucking complete, and I don't like swearing, but this could absolutely fucking destroy markets. And one thing that has me a little bit on the edge, I wouldn't say too much, but just a little bit here, is potentially Dixie. Dixie looks like it's actually, has it broken structure on the 8 hour? No. Has it broken structure? Not yet. Has it broken structure on the daily? No. So I do believe Dixie's going to head on its way to the upside here, but if it does end up breaking, we're going to start targeting areas of Dixie, most likely here, right? We're going to start targeting these new areas here with Dixie, okay? And I mean these areas over here. And Dixie going to the upside here isn't necessarily what? Bullish for markets. It's actually very bearish for markets. Okay, so let's look at just some of our call outs here. What did we call out on our last call here? All right, we had some buys coming into play here. When was it? On Thursday. All right, some of you guys are still in those buys here at 9-10 a.m. Right here we called some buys on Thursday. Ran and elevated all the way up until Friday, pulled back down here Monday at 3 a.m. broke even, and now they're extending to the upside here. So SPX is moving to the upside here. Let's look at what's happening right now. What am I looking at right now? Okay. I am looking at potentially, I've already called buys here. Called buys here. Let's remove some of this here. So far, right now, we're solid here. I'm gonna stick to this 1.4. I don't like that we retraced here and hit the 1.27 and didn't close above. I really don't like that. I'm not a fan of that at all. But hey, it is what it is. We're gonna have to try to adapt here. Let's get rid of some of my markups from earlier in the week, just because it's a new week now. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for some buys here, or we're just gonna follow structure here. All right, external buying zone. That's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna follow structure. That's the best thing that we can do in this situation, in this scenario. And then obviously when the Asian range comes and hits tomorrow, we're developing an Asian range right now, right? As that Asian range gets developed, then eventually we'll see if there's a pullback and then an extension to the upside here. Okay. So let's see the Asian range develop. Obviously there's an imbalance here, needs to get filled. I'm looking at this area here for potential rundown. I'm looking for simple structure here. I'm not looking for a complicated trade. Very, very simple structure. Looking for that extension to get hit. Fib level there would mark it up to the 1.27 or bring us at least to equal highs. Fib level from the high to the previous structural pullback would bring us back to that level right there. Everything is aiming for 7,000. So I think this week we're gonna go for just under 7,000. I'm gonna be looking for buys. I am gonna be looking for buys in that zone here. So if we can get something like that, that would be solid. I would look for, really, really good, and I would get a nice solid 1 to 7 risk reward kind of trade. That would be sexy, right? So it's looking good. It's looking nice. Okay, 2 a.m. summer night, right? All right, so we'll see how that goes. Let's look at SPY here. SPY, kind of the same thing. We need to fill this gap here that I've been talking about, and that fill can happen this week. So if we do pull back, then extend, maybe hit that 700, then we can maybe see a huge psychological level here, get kind of taken out, then see a pullback and go back to the 68s, 63s or something like that. Another thing that might happen is, because 700 or 7,000 is such a psychological level, once we do hit 7,000, we'll probably see a huge pullback and then see markets finally retrace to that area and that gap that we see on SPY. that also exists probably on NAS as well, okay? So I know the data feed sometimes looks a little bit different for some of these pairs. Regardless, it doesn't matter, okay? I don't like the way SPY looks. SPY looks way, I mean NAS. NAS looks way more bearish than SPY. Yeah, it looks kind of bearish. I don't like the way that NAS looks at all. Let's look at US30 real quick. US30 is bullish. That's very, very much bullish. I called a buy on Russell that other week here when we had that pullback. What did it do? It kind of went to that area, right? Yeah, pulled back just about here. Russell's still bullish, guys. Very much bullish. Price action tells me that this right here is great. I see this nice decisional area here, probably on the daily, that we're going to come back to. That's kind of an area that I want to look at to potentially rebuy off of on this, because I'm looking for a retracement on SPY. I mean on Russell here. But to be brutally honest, this thing doesn't even look like it's going to do its thing. Let's look at the range right now. I mean, it's already used up its ADR here. 14%, 14% of its usage so far. Interesting. Huh. Look at SPX here. Interesting. This thing's gonna sell off by tomorrow. Only 23% of its usage. Interesting. Huh. Very interesting. We'll look at futures. Same thing, same story. Futures is the same story. We're gonna look at some buys here. Let's look at news this week. I kind of ignored it after talking about Powell. Let's look at news this week here, guys. Alright, so let's go back here. Let's check this out. We have core CPI. This is huge news for tomorrow. CPI month over month, CPI year over year. This is going to shoot markets for sure. Very curious to see how, honestly, SPX is going to react to this here, because right now we have CPI going higher than expected month over month. Core CPI month over month. CPI month over month completely, and year over year we have CPI potentially coming out as expected. So this won't move markets, but these two might for sure. Inflation is probably is still a worry of ours, but not as much as the job market. More in a job market type of. Retail sales. I'm shocked that retail sales are actually doing not that bad. PPI is actually solid. It's not that bad. PPI is lower, so this will be good news for markets. It's all bad news up there. Retail sales month over month is good news. Okay, so we are seeing some good news here. Unemployment claims higher than expected, but not too crazy. All right, so we have some bad news with Tuesday. You have some good news with PPI here. PPI month over month at 0.2 is actually really good. Okay, so we have bad news tomorrow. Most likely we'll see a pull down here, a mitigation, and then a run to the upside. That's what I'm kind of expecting. Let's look at oil. Let's look at gold. Okay, so we've been back-to-back calling wins on gold here. It's been absolutely insane, right? The type of wins that we've called with gold. Even today, earlier, I called some buys. I was in some buys and it ended up breaking me even. I was kind of waiting until we extended here, but it didn't do that. What am I looking at with gold right now? Well, one thing's for certain. Thursday was a great day, right? When we called that break and we made how much? What was it? Like, I took profits like here, like 13,000 pips here. So what am I looking at? Because we've been calling buys non-stop with gold. I called buys here, called buys here. What was that, Thursday? People were buying also on Friday. This was the easiest buy ever. Even today was an easy buy. We do see a market turnaround though. Do I see gold turning around this week? Yeah, for sure. It's overextended. It's already used up half of its market ranges here. So what I'm looking for is price to pull down. I want to see what the reaction is in this candle here with this indecision. And then what happens tomorrow at the range here. I want to see if it respects this range. The Asian range stays here. We might get a swipe of liquidity and then a run to the upside. If not, price is going to drop dramatically and we'll see price come all the way back here, which will be a good buying opportunity. So I'd actually would want this. The only way that would happen is if gold goes down, is if SPX starts to absolutely skyrocket in the news is better than expected tomorrow. Oh yeah, you see what else supports that? You see this, guys? Look at that gap here. That price discrepancy that needs to get filled. You see that? That gap needs to be filled. You see that imbalance? That gap and imbalance here needs to be filled. Indecision, swipe of liquidity, hopefully, and then I'll run to the upside. Because the previous Asian range fell within yesterday's Asian range, or this Asian range is falling within this Asian range, it means that there's going to be a lot of market movement tomorrow. Let's look at GU here. Let's look at GU. Okay. Give me a second, guys. All right, let's look at GU now. Let's take a look at GU. Let's see how GU is doing. I want to start trading GU a little bit more. As I'm seeing this thing break its structure here. Break that indecision. It's fully already mitigated this zone here. Let's look at what it's doing on the daily here. Mitigated that. Ran to the upside. If Dixie is running this week, I don't really want to run with GU at all. I'm bearish in GU if Dixie's running this week, so. Let's look at CAD. CAD is very much bullish. I want to buy USD CAD completely. easiest buy we could have. Look at the trend too. Right? Yeah, you have a mitigation coming up, but it hasn't happened yet. USD CAD is a buy for tomorrow. USD CAD, we're looking for buys. I forgot. I should probably screenshot these. Put them in the group. Gold volatility needs to fall, come back. Oh man. Isn't it interesting? Isn't life interesting? Right? Let's look at USD CAD. Looks way better. Oh man, USD CAD looks like a beast right now. I'm going to trade tomorrow morning live in front of everybody, but these are just some markups here that I'm going to be looking at for tomorrow. USD CAD looks way better than GU. I don't even want to look at AU, to be honest. USD CAD is going to be probably my favorite. Euro looks like shit. USD JPY looks terrible. I don't like USD JPY. It looks ugly. Probably very easy to trade. Let's look at crypto. People are asking me about crypto right now. Crypto actually looks okay. Total cryptocurrency market cap here. I need it to break structure. If it doesn't break, it's not bullish. Here, it looks a little bullish. But it hasn't. You see how it mitigated there? It still hasn't broken that. Others maybe is the only chart that looks okay, but I'm still not convinced. Let's look at Bitcoin. I need to close above here, Bitcoin, before I could say, hey, I'm gonna buy you. There's no close above 95. This right here looks like the perfect sell. Yeah, this thing is still in my selling zone. If it is gonna run, it's gonna run here. And look at the rejection. Rejected off my zones here. Solana, same thing. I'm not even gonna look at that. MSRT. All right, let's look at MSRT. What did price do with MSRT? Same thing. All right, extension to the upside. Sell off. We called the highs. MSRT is kind of done. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. As long as Bitcoin's going to the ground, we might get some good opportunity here with Nvidia if it can come back here. Looks like Nvidia is gonna shoot. Everything looks decent. Meta still needs to fill in this gap, so. Alright guys, so this is just a quick breakdown here. I will be trading live tomorrow morning again. So I'll see you guys there. Appreciate y'all, love y'all, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.